So if you watch that whole video, it gives me very chaser-ish vibes. Chasers are cis people who go for transgender people specifically. In this girl's case, she's dating a trans man. And it might be because she inherently believes that trans men are better than cis men will ever be.
Yeah, I've heard that many times before. I've heard it from women themselves that, well, if I date a trans guy who used to be a girl, he would know how to treat a woman better than men who are born men. And to be honest, I kind of get it. But let's listen to what this person has to say about that.
Like, girl, I am sorry that cis men are sometimes just indecent assholes towards women, but that does not mean you should avoid cis men completely and go for trans men only. That makes you a chaser. Period.
I do agree that we shouldn't assume that all men are just bad. However, if a woman only wants to date trans men, what's the problem? 2 minutes ago, it's transphobic if you don't want to date a trans person, but now there's something wrong with wanting to date a trans person.
Chasers use all the same techniques as other types of predators: love bombing, negging, trying to make you feel guilty. They usually bring up a really explicit conversation really quickly. And if you try to call them out on their chasery behavior, they will deny, and try to make you feel like the bad person.
Have you ever thought about the possibility that you were wrong and you are the bad person, and the men and women who really wants to date trans people exclusively are tired of being shamed for it or accused of being creepy? Why do you feel the need to call someone out if you're no longer interested in dating them? Why can't you be just like, you know what, this is not going to work out, have a nice day? Why do you have to call them out and make TikToks about it?
But the bottom line about chasers is that they don't actually love trans people. They like to use trans people. They are banking on the fact that you are insecure or unsure about your transition, and they will try to use that against you in some way, whether that is just getting in your pants and being able to do whatever they want with you, to controlling your transition or your narrative in some way.
If you're talking about men in this situation, yeah, a lot of men on dating apps just want to bone and move on. It doesn't matter if you're trans, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, you will find these men on these apps. Is that a problem? As long as the person is being open about only wanting sex from you, I don't see the issue. It's not about loving trans people, whatever that means. Sometimes people, especially men, just want to bone. And that's okay. Men don't have to worship trans ideology, especially, or worship the person if they just want to hook up with the person for only one night, which I hope the man is open about wanting to do. I'm not sure about what she means about controlling someone's transition. Maybe she's talking about the fake trans people on dating apps. They don't want to transition medically, they don't want to make the effort to look like the opposite sex. And then when interacting with people who really want to date or sleep with trans people, they're like, why haven't you transitioned though? And that's valid. The point of being trans is that you're uncomfortable with your body. But if you don't want to change your body, are you really trans? Questioning non-binary people and fake trans people is not about wanting to control them. They have the right to not be physically involved with anyone.
Here are 4 red flags for trans men to look out for on the dating scene. 1. Chasers. These are people who proclaim to love trans men, to support trans men, find trans men so hot and so attractive, but don't fall for it. A chaser is only talking to you for their own self-gratification. They often hold on to some pretty harmful beliefs and stereotypes about trans men, and above all else, they're prioritizing their own fantasy about your body over your needs and boundaries as an individual human being.
I was right, it is about all the trans people who don't medically transition, who have a problem with people who are only attracted to trans people not understanding that. What he's talking about here is trans men being in the gay community. I hate to be the one to tell you, I don't want to burst your bubble, but men who are on gay dating apps are highly sexual, and the majority of them just want to hook up. So if you're a trans guy on gay dating apps, you're being treated as if you were a regular man. You're not going to experience any special treatment just because you're trans. If you don't want to be sexualized, maybe don't be in the gay community, online at least. So when you talk about how these gay men are not respecting trans people's boundaries and needs, you have to understand that that's how a lot of men feel. A lot of bottoms maybe feel in the gay community.
So how do you spot this behavior? Well, early on, they're probably going to bring up a pretty explicit conversation about what they like about you and what they want from you. In turn, they're hoping that they can treat you as an object and throw you away at their discretion.
Just like any other gay man. It sounds horrible, and you know what? It is kind of horrible. To some degree, it's disrespectful that you as a trans guy expect to be treated better than a biological man. So what's really going on here? Could it be that you miss being treated as a girl? Miss being coddled a little bit more? You're not going to be treated as a girl if you look and sound like a man and want to be perceived as such. You cannot have it both ways.
People who are true trans allies don't feel the need to parade around the fact that they're so open and so interested in trans people. Chasers, they don't love trans people. They love what they can get from trans people.
You don't need to love all trans people in order to sleep with them or date them, period. Get over yourself. I was about to say man up, but maybe YouTube will remove my video then. Who knows? If you are a trans guy on Grindr and you expect to be treated like a princess, you're only gonna get disappointed, my dear. If you're on a date with a guy multiple times and he lets you down, I get it, he's an idiot. Assholes exist, of course they do. But it seems like that these activists would much rather put themselves in the situation that they know is stupid just to have an excuse to complain about people. And I have a question. If you're talking about Grindr, what do you want from men when you're on Grindr?
2. Avoid people who are expressing discomfort around whatever your stage of transition is. They might say things like, oh, you were just so cute before you started testosterone, or you really should get top surgery because your chest is such a turnoff.
I do agree with the first thing that he said, and I think it's great that he said it multiple times in this video. Avoid these people if they make you feel uncomfortable, basically. That's my point. However, I do not agree that saying you look cute before you transition is a bad thing. If a guy didn't say that about you, he would be like, thank God you transitioned. You look so ugly and horrible before. Thank God you're on testosterone. You're still the same person, so he's actually giving you personally a compliment. Don't be offended by that, please. It's embarrassing. And the second thing about you should really get top surgery, well, yeah, usually gay men are not turned on by big saggy tits with hair on them. I'm so sorry you had to imagine that, but it is a thing.
Your transition is about what's going to make you happy. Even if top surgery is something that you want and plan on getting, no one should pressure you into it before you're ready. Surgery of any kind is a huge time commitment. It's a huge financial commitment, and you should do it when it's the right time for you.
If you claim to be trans and you're, let's say, dating someone who really likes to date trans people, but you don't want to get surgeries, I would completely understand the guy if he keep asking you, why don't you go on testosterone? Why don't you get top surgery or something like that? Because when you call yourself a trans person, a trans guy, you're leading the men who are attracted to that on, making them think that eventually you'll go on testosterone or eventually you'll get rid of your breasts.
3. People who don't recognize the fact that you are a man. While everyone has the right to use the orientation label that feels best to them, I strongly discourage getting involved with straight men or lesbian women. If a straight man or lesbian woman is expressing interest in you, they probably don't understand that trans men are men.
Trans men are biological women, they're not men, because the definition of a man is a biological male. But I do agree with the second part.
Don't tolerate any kind of disrespect. You deserve to be treated with kindness and patience. If their behavior is making you feel worse about yourself, it might be time to set some boundaries or just say goodbye.
100%. I completely agree. I just gotta say, I can't help myself. Why do you need to tell people something that's so obvious? You're making it seem like trans people are not that bright. If someone makes you uncomfortable, don't sleep with them. If you don't like the way you're getting treated, don't date them. Gee, I know. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the word chaser, meaning someone who's very interested in trans people only. I don't see the point of shaming people for liking what they like. Well, unless it's illegal, of course, but most men who are only attracted to trans people are usually very open about it. And that's why I don't have a problem with chasers. Trans people can just say no thank you. or block them, or don't respond to their messages. It's not that hard. To be honest, and don't get me wrong, I don't like assholes. I don't like people who use other people. I think it's great that there are people who are only attracted to us. Transsexuals, the real ones, who of course are different physically. Trans activists have been complaining for years, if you don't want to sleep with me, you're transphobic, making it seem like no one wants to sleep with them. And now, if people want to sleep with them, they're like, you see me as an object, you're a chaser. And these people wonder why they never get laid. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, remember to hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you want, you can support me with a small donation under Super Thanks. It means the world to me, so thank you, and thank you for supporting me. Click the link down below if you want to become a member of this channel. Remember to follow me on Twitter and on Rumble under the same name. And I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.